Hello my friends, how are you? Today what I was thinking about is the infamous saying that goes something like this: if you can't do, you teach; if you can't teach, you teach. Jim. In a way, what this saying implies is that if you don't have a skill set to perform at the highest level in a certain arena, then you will be demoted to being on the sidelines and being a teacher. And if you are a teacher and you don't have the expertise or knowledge to teach something like science or history or linguistics, then you will be demoted to the most basic of subjects, which is physical education. The way that I see it is that anybody who believes this to be true is highly misinformed, as physical education is more than just playing dodgeball or learning a sport. It has to do with learning about the body, its anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, and furthermore, it's the tool through which we interface with our environment, with other people. And it gives us the information that we need to reveal who we are and how we can further develop along the way. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because when it comes to physical education, I believe that physical education, especially in schools, is underrated. And it's because we've done a poor job at creating a system that truly allows the value of it to shine through. And we've done a poor job because we've only looked at physical education. And when I say only, I am generalizing. But for the most part, we only look at physical education through the physical side of development. When in reality, we know that through physical education, we can achieve emotional development and cognitive development. So in today's video, I wanted to bring attention to the cognitive side of physical education and how the following 8 domains will not only influence physical education in becoming more relevant within our development and that which we teach in schools, but also in allowing ourselves to see how physical education is a bridge into all other subjects. I decided to bring it home as it started to rain, and this is probably a better place to talk about this concept anyways. And in regards to the 8 domains, the first one is sustained attention. And sustained attention is focus. And focus is something that you experience, especially when you're learning a new skill, or you're practicing something that is at the edge of your abilities. For example, for me, when I'm working on my hand balancing, I am trying to get better at holding a handstand with one arm. And when I'm doing this is something that, although I've been practicing for a while, is at the edge of my abilities, and thus it requires all of my attention. The second domain is response inhibition, which translates into the ability to ignore what is happening around you while you are practicing. In other words, imagine yourself learning a new skill, working on a project, and having your phone next to you. The moment that phone rings, you have an opportunity to hold focus, or in other words, to ignore the phone ringing. If you are able to ignore what is happening outside of you and focus on that which you are doing, you are cognitively developing. For me, this is something that I experience every time I'm working on my handstands and the dogs are around. They like to run, walk around me. And in that moment, I cannot allow myself to deviate from that which I'm doing, or I will come out of balance. The third one is information processing, which is our ability to take in the feedback that is coming through our bodies from the movement. And this is something that when we are able to do better, our brains, which are designed to 1, predict what is going to happen next to help us adjust, and 2, activate us physiologically so we can actually perform in that moment at the best of our abilities, will improve and increase. So simply through practice, we are becoming better at processing information. The fourth one is cognitive flexibility. This is being able to take what you know and mold it into something new. In other words, it is taking a concept and slightly adjusting it or altering it in order to be able to achieve a new outcome or a desired outcome. An example of this is for me when I practice handstands. Back in the day, it used to be with a wider hand position. The reason is because in gymnastics, the equipment is designed that way. It's designed to hold a wider position with the hands in order for you to perform the skills. But when it comes to pure hand balancing, the hands go right underneath your shoulders, and it's slightly different. This flexibility in concept is what allows one to not only adapt physically, but also mentally. The fifth domain is multitasking, and multitasking is being able to work on several things at once. Now, multitasking is not holding focus on several things at the same time, but rather in prioritizing a sequence of focuses that allows you to get the best outcome. In my hand balancing, for example, I want to, 1, hold my balance. That's my number 1 priority. Number 2, I also want to make sure that there's enough muscular tension around my body to support me. And number 3, I'm looking to have a specific shape. I want to see a certain line. So where do I place my focus in order to multitask at the highest level? Well, I place my focus on that which is the most challenging for me, which for me at this point in time in my practice is my line. So the balance becomes secondary, but it's still there working in the background. The muscular tension remains present, but that which I'm really focused on in order to multitask at the highest level is my line. The sixth domain is working memory, and working memory is being able to hold concepts, ideas, things that are important in your mental space while practicing, but without them interfering, so you can, when needed, access them. An example of this is when I'm practicing handstands, especially when I'm going from my right arm to my left arm. There's a moment in that transition where my left shoulder struggles a little bit and I have to remember to push. So when I first kick up into handstand and I go into my right arm, I have no problem. I am working on holding in my memory the notion that I have to push once I go to my left. So once I begin the transition onto my left, now I can access the working memory and pull the task at hand and then press through my left shoulder and get access to the next move. The seventh domain is category formation. This is realizing that we can compartmentalize and we can structure our practice. And this is not only conceptual, but also happening in our behavior, in our actions, and the way that we're pursuing our practice. An example of this in training would be categorizing your movement practice from a warm-up or movement prep to a movement stressor, which could be the meat and potatoes of your practice, and then some kind of cool down or accessory work that can be some kind of conditioning or mobility. Having this ability to create categories makes us smarter, not only physically, but also mentally. And finally, the eighth domain is pattern recognition, which is what I've based my whole career on, and I call it skill transfer. It's seeing that one pattern in a certain movement applies to the next. For example, a jump applies to a deadlift applies to a lift applies to Olympic weightlifting or powerlifting or picking up your groceries or the kids. It's something that carries over. And when we can see these patterns and we can mold these patterns, we can now start to practice one thing the same way that we practice everything. So in summary, all I have to say is that I believe that it is important that we bring these 8 cognitive domains to the forefront of the conversation around physical education, as they contain the values that are transferable to all other subjects, and they are a bridge into being able to experience those subjects from a different perspective, a unique one that comes from the practitioner, the person who is practicing. And not only for developing strong bodies and minds, but smart ones. Thank you for watching all the way to this moment, which if you did, it means that you are interested in that which I am talking about. And if so, do me a favor and share this with someone who you believe needs to hear it, or hit the like, subscribe, little notification bell, leave a comment to continue this conversation going, and I will make sure to be here next week with more. For now, thank you, and I'll see you soon. Peace.